Hey guys, I hope you're having a nice day and I welcome you to a new video. First I want to start this off with a question. Do you have those days in which you are just tired of ranks or in a losing streak and you want to play something new, something different, something fun? Well, then this video might be just right for you. Buckle up your seatbelts because we are taking a ride into the spooky world of AP Thresh. First of all, let's dive into the pros and cons of this mirific champion. There are two main reasons for why I would want to play Thresh as an AP mage. First of all, his AP scalings are fairly decent. The death sentence has a 50% scaling on AP and his base damage is not to laugh at either. His E has a 40% scale, which is not that good, but his strongest ability by far is his ultimate, which besides having high base damage, scales on 100% of your AP. The other main reason for playing Thresh as an AP champion is that you get 3 AP from your passive. To be more specific, you get 0.75 AP for each soul that you collect. If you get yourself a Rabadon's Death Cap, you will get 1 AP for each soul. This means that his damage won't really fall off the longer the game goes on. Another reason for a Thresh is great in general is the overload of CC that he brings to the table. This enables you a lot of options. You can get someone out by hooking them, or save an ally with your dark passage, or even bring an ally in for a kill after you hit a death sentence. One of the best things if you play Thresh mid is that you can roam a lot. And he excels at that, with all the CC that he has. Since you build damage, you will end up killing your target much faster. Teamfighting is where he shines. A well-placed box may end up to be devastating for the enemy team, especially in the late game when you can do more than 1000 damage with your ultimate. The next argument is rather a double-edged sword. Even if you are behind on AP Thresh, you will still be useful due to all of your CC and playmaking abilities. But at this point you're basically a less tanky version of support Thresh with a little bit more damage. Now let's see what are the cons of this champion. My biggest counter argument is that he has no mobility. You have to throw everything at the enemy and the kitchen sink to be able to kill him, which leaves you vulnerable afterwards unless you can buy yourself some time with a Zonya or a Flash. Another big con is that you have almost no bait gear. Your Flame, besides being small in range, does suboptimal damage. This basically means that if you are getting sieged on, you can't really do much about it. His weakest phase of the game by far is his laning phase, where you're no match to most solo lane champions. Unless your opponent is playing something like an Orianna or anything else that wants to farm early, you are going to have a hard time in that phase of the game. When it comes to 1v1ing someone, don't expect to 100-0 your lane opponent. That won't happen most of the time. At best, you can try do that on a squishy support, maybe something like a Soraka or a weak AD carry. But in the process, you will have to use your ultimate, which in my opinion has a much bigger potential in a teamfight. Now let's talk about how you should play him. In the laning phase, you want to play him like a bitch. You just want to play passive and trade when you're able to, never go on lean unless someone comes to help you. Later on in the laning phase, when your opponent gives you a little bit of breathing room, you might wanna look for some roams on bot or top lane, so that you can get yourself and your team ahead. When ganking another lane, try to get as close as possible to your opponent in order to hit that hook easier. If you can flay him first, it will be even easier to land that crucial hook. Just don't gank like I did in this clip. You can start trading more often with your opponent after you get your Lich Bane, since this is your power spike. When you strike your opponent with a max stacked Flay basic and Lich Bane passive, you will do a surprising amount of damage. After your laning phase is done, you want to stay with your team and look for skirmishes and teamfights. In a teamfight, the best possible scenario is that you get the whole enemy team into the box, and as they break the walls you do a pentakill. But let's be serious, that ain't gonna happen. Basically, you want to get as many people as possible into the box and onto your flay, and then you want either to Zhonya and wait for your team or flash out. When it comes to using your dive passage, you want to use it as you normally do, by bringing in someone when you go in 1v5, so you never die alone. Before diving into the runes and masteries, let's first talk about in which order you want to max your abilities and which summoners you want to take. When it comes to leveling up your abilities, it can go two ways. I honestly max my E first, since I find it easier to trade with, and it also gives you a little bit of AoE damage. But if you feel comfortable with your hooking abilities, definitely max your death sentence first, since it does more damage. No matter which way you choose to go down, you take Flay first due to the bonus auto-attack damage it gives. You don't want to put a point into your W before level 5 unless you get ganked by your jungler and you want to help him get to the lane faster. You will look to max your W last and your ult at level 6, 11 and 16. On to the summoner spells. Here you can make a lot of choices. You can take Heal Barrier for more survivability, or Ghost for more mobility, or even TP if you want to have more map presence, but I definitely recommend taking TP if you are going top lane. Now let's move on to the runes and masteries. For the masteries, you want to go 12 points into the Ferocity tree and 18 points into the Cunning tree, taking that crispy Thunderlord's Decree Keystone Mastery. You go down this path simply because of the Thunderlords, which will help you burst down your target quicker. For runes, I like taking Magic Pen Marks, AP Quints, Health per level seals and CDR per level glyphs. I like going this way simply because it allows me to do decent damage while being able to cast my spells more often. If you want to do more damage, feel free to switch up the CDR blues with AP or AP per level ones, and if you're facing an AD matchup, you can take armor yellows. When it comes to the build path, you can play around with it quite a lot. The core item that I consider must be a first buy is Lich Bane, since it complements your damage really nice. After that you can go whatever you want. If they have an AD assassin, you can go Zhonya's Hourglass. If you're having a hard time against him, you can go buy Zhonya's first before the Lich Bane. Against heavy AP teams, Abyssal Scepter will help you quite a lot. At some point into the game you will have to throw in Revenant stat cap, and if you're feeling like going a bit more tanky, you might just take Rod of Ages. There are a few more items that work well on Thresh listed on the screen. As for starting items, I recommend going Corrupting Potion, since the regen that this item grants will make your laning phase easier. But if you're feeling more ballsy, you might go Doran's Blade with a potion. For the boots, you have 3 different choices. If you want to cast more abilities, you want to buy the Ionian Boots of Lucidity. For more damage, you get yourself the Sork Shoes. My personal favorites though are the Boots of Swiftness, since they help you with the lack of mobility and also enable you to move faster around the map. For my final thoughts and ratings, I'm going to give AP Thresh a 5 out of 10 on a viability scale, simply because there are a lot of variables that need to go in your favor. It has some pretty good positives though, but if you get behind, you're slightly more special than a support Thresh. On a fun scale, I'm going to give him 7.5 out of 10, since it is really fun to see someone's HP bar drop pretty low or even die after he walks into your wall. And you will always feel good when you hit that sick hook. This was it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it and found it somewhat interesting. If you have any suggestions for future cheesy champs that I should take a look over, tell me down below in the comments. If you want to support the channel, don't forget to like and subscribe. I wish you a nice day and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys!